All right, we're live on the Reese Report. I'm the mouth of the North, Andrew Reese. I am back with a finally unmuted Tony Barbosa, who had a lot of troubles getting on the show, but he looks all right now. Jose Carlos Gomes, who looks ready and is leading the hockey pool. Congratulations. You're going to win the NFL pool and the hockey pool finally for the first time. Maybe. We'll see. And Gil Santos, who's a two-time winner of the pool and is ready to talk about his Packers. And that's where we're going to start first today, guys. We're going to talk about obviously the divisional round and who we like, but we're going to start with last week's games, and we're going to talk about each one for a brief period. But I'm going to let Gil get his thoughts out because it's the end of his Green Bay Packers season. They were knocked out by the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia, 22-10, in a very uneventful game, low-scoring game, not much offense. Gil, what's your thoughts on your Packers? I mean, Jordan Love was awful in this game. Do you have a quarterback issue, or what? Because Josh Jacobs was great. What did you think about your Packers and what happened last week against the Eagles?
No, it started off bad, right? Right off the kickoff, they fumbled, which to me they recovered it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
agree. They,
Uh,
they got job. He did
going
recover.
going to the booth and looking at it, I think it's clear that he has it. So
Absolutely.
whatever they got, Philly capitalized on right away. Now, one good thing I did like what I'd seen was the Packers defense played phenomenal. They
Yep.
kept them in. Hertz was doing nothing. They contained Barkley as much as they could until near the end, but the game was pretty much done. But yeah, Jordan Love, he threw some bad decisions, some bad picks. Just didn't go their way. And congrats to
Lots of
Philly.
injuries. Lots of
Yeah,
injuries,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah. As the game was going on, all their wide receivers were gone. Um, Jacobs played well. It was a lot of punting after, right? So, like,
Yeah.
Philly didn't impress anybody either with their gameplay. So, I don't know about their second round there. If they play like that, they got to wake up. But as the Packers, they got to sit down, regroup. Uh, you know, Jordan Love, he just made some bad decisions. And last year he played well. I don't know. Like, it's hard to feel them out right now of which way they're going. We heard that they're interested in Higgins to come to Green Bay, but we'll see what on the offseason. But overall, they had a bad game. Philly got a bad bounce right off the bat to go up 7-0 because I think the Packers clearly recovered that football. But that's ifs and buts, and let's move on.
Do you think you need a receiver, considering the injuries and how inconsistent some of your receivers are?
Well, absolutely. I think it was 3 weeks ago they were talking about getting Tyreek Hill, and now what was it 2 days ago they're showing interested in Higgins. So they're eventually going to get somebody because you can tell they're interested in getting a top receiver.
Yeah, I think the Packers, like, Jordan Love had a very inconsistent season, but I think that had a lot to do with his weapons and some injuries he had and some inconsistencies throwing the football. But like, they've got the running back. Their defense is okay. Like, it's just they're missing that big game receiver. I think, and they really could be something because Jacobs was awesome all year. So I don't think they're too far away as long as Love stays healthy and is more consistent throwing the football.
Yeah.
Um, so that was that game, obviously. Now I'm gonna go to Jose. Now I picked Tampa Bay last week because I really like Baker Mayfield. I like both of these quarterbacks. Um, but one mistake turned this game, and that was a fumble on a handoff, and that completely changed the game. Tampa Bay looked like they were in control. They gave the football back to Washington, and then Jaden Daniels took over. Jaden Daniels was unbelievable in this game. Poised, no panic, did not look like a rookie at all. Made all the plays that he needed to make. Fourth downs. Um, Jose, he's basically C.J. Stroud from last year. Um, how good is he, and can he give a scare to the Lions?
Oh, he's gonna give a scare to the Lions. I think they can throw the ball around on that defensive line against and especially the secondary against the Lions. Will the Lions put pressure on him? Maybe they'll throw more blitzes at him. And rookie, you know how rookies struggle against the blitzes and stuff like that. Um, Dude, it was he's a dual threat, man. Like he was getting out of scrambles, and he was getting guys on him, and he was just like he was like a little mini Lamar Jackson type of thing. Even the guys on the TV were saying like he's like a little skinnier version of Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Dude, he's talented. You can see that he can throw, he can run. He's in the perfect situation, man. The Kingsbury's a great offensive coordinator. He knows how to do those run option passes and stuff like and plays and dude, and they like you said, there was that fumble that changed the game. But that's the way football is, especially in the playoffs. Turnovers lose you games, and that's pretty much it. No, he's doing his thing. I think he's better than C.J. Stroud, to tell you the truth. I think he uses his legs more than C.J. Stroud, because C.J. Stroud could use his legs too, man. He just decides not to. Like, I don't understand why not. You could see like when he used his leg, he rushed for like 30 yards against the Chargers defense, right? So, but in saying that, I have faith in Jaden Daniel. I don't think he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be superior to C.J. Stroud because he just the way the system is and the players that he has on that team. And yeah, they'll be fine. I think they'll put up points against the Lions, but at the end of the day, the Lions will end up winning that game. But that's a different
Well,
story.
we'll get to the picks. We'll get to the picks. We're just going over last week's games a little bit. Barbosa, you were very high on your boy Bo Nix. You talked about him all year. You challenged, saying he's going to win Rookie of the Year, even when it looked like Jaden Daniels was a clear favorite to win the award. It looked good early last week, 7-0. Got a touchdown early, and then it just completely fell apart. The Bills ran up and down the Denver defense, which was a shocker to me. I did not think that was going to happen, but James Cook had a field day. And once you run on that defense, it's going to be over because they don't have to worry about throwing as much, and the Bills took over. What did you think of Knicks and you know his first playoff game? Basically, what did you think of his first playoff game?
Um, like I said, well, he's a rookie. It's they're gonna make mistakes. First playoff career start for him. Um, it was nice for him to go up early, but you're playing the Bills. Josh Allen's gonna put up points, and then trying to compete with trying to go throw for throw with Josh Allen, isn't gonna work. That defense, like Buffalo Bills defense, is not that bad. Even though they lost quite a bit of players, I for one thought they were gonna be terrible. But they played pretty good. Um, like you said, they ran the ball. The ball possession was like, what was it? Ridiculous. It's like,
Well,
I don't know.
Cook ran 23 times for
Yeah,
120 yards. I did not
yeah,
see
but the
that
ball
happening.
possession was like Buffalo had the ball possession like
Yeah, they had the ball the whole
I think
game.
only had
Yeah,
it 18 minutes or something like that.
yeah, yeah.
That was a ridiculous amount of time for Buffalo to have the ball. So um, it's gonna happen. Rookies are gonna make mistakes. It's his first start. I think you'll be a lot better going forward. It's a learning lesson for him, right? Um, and we'll see what happens next year. I think he's got the right coach for him. Um, so we'll see. We'll see what happens with him, and see what happens with Buffalo moving forward.
All right. I'll go back to Gil after, but because I'm gonna ask him about Lamar Jackson, but I'm gonna go to the Chargers game now. Guys, just give me a couple of minutes here because I've had shows, I've had grants, I've had individual shows talking about this player, and I'm going to go off. I just want to know what the excuse is now. First, it was the coach. Then it was his weapons getting hurt. Then it was the defense. Now he's got a great coach. He's got a great defense. He's got a running game. He doesn't have the wide receivers. Maybe he's still got Lad McConkey. Justin Herbert, I think I'm more than fair in saying that this is the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. A guy who's rated with the top echelon of quarterbacks, but has never won a playoff game. a guy who threw 3 interceptions all year long and threw 4 in the playoffs, could not have had 2 of the worst playoff games imaginable, was absolutely awful against the Texans, a game that the Texans were begging to lose. They had no points going into the 2-minute mark of the first half, and yet the Chargers can only muster 6 points. Overthrows all over the field. Just an absolutely horrendous, awful performance from Justin Herbert with 0 excuses. I think I'm more than fair than saying that this guy's an overrated quarterback. I mean, Jim Harbaugh could not have coached any better. I mean, the guy gave up no points in the first half, and this guy's scoring 6 points. It's just awful. I mean, he throws the ball up to Quentin Johnson on a play where he's double covered. There's no reason to throw that football. They're about to score, and he throws the ball up to Quentin Johnson, who has no chance of catching the ball. He overthrows Ladd McConkey for the other interception in the first half. I mean, just awful.
Now, no throw. McConkey had that in his hands. Two of those
balls. An overthrow. There was an overthrow.
Gone through. It went through the receiver's hands.
I understand.
Let's
the
other
2 interceptions went through the receiver's hands, but it was the first 2 that turned the game.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. 100%.
The first 2 were awful. They were in control. They had chances to score, and he overthrows the football. The pick 6 was an overthrow. I mean, a complete overthrow that changed the game. So, I just think that at this point, and I said it earlier in the year, when is Justin Herbert going to win an important game? He's turning into Kirk Cousins. I'm not even trying to joke. He's turning into Kirk Cousins. Every time you want him to win a big game, he comes up short. So we're going to see. He's going to have another year with Harbaugh. Maybe they'll get another receiver in the draft, or they'll sign T. Higgins. There's rumors about them picking up a receiver because their cap is going to clear up. But I think I'm more than fair in saying now that what I've said for 2 years, that this guy is an overrated quarterback that can't win the big game. I'll let you guys quickly comment on that, and I'm going to go to Gil talk about Lamar Jackson, who also has had his struggles in the playoffs. Any problem with what I've said, Jose?
I don't think he's overrated, man. I think he just had a bad game, and dude, during the season, a guy that throws only 3 picks, and then in one game he throws 4 picks. I don't think it's just. I think he just fucking made some bad decisions, bad throws, and they paid for it. I don't think he's an overrated quarterback. I think he's not like the greatest quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback. He's maybe like I'll say probably top 10 quarterbacks in the league.
But not with the top guys. He should not be with the top guys anymore. Comparing. That's enough.
I'm not comparing. I'm not saying he's to Mahomes or anybody like that. I'm just saying or Josh Allen or anything like that. I'm just saying he's better than majority of the quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm sorry to tell you. The man had one bad game. It is what it is. Dude, you can't bash him because of one bad game. Okay, let's see next year. And if they do it, and if he does it again in the playoffs, then yeah, okay, you can tell him that he's overrated or something like that. But not one because of one bad game that he had. I don't think you can bash him because of that.
Maybe he's Dak Prescott, Jose. Maybe he's Dak Prescott.
Or maybe, I don't know. But dude, sometimes the playoffs, some guys can't handle the pressure. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like that's the kind of quarterback he is. A guy who can handle the pressure. Because that was awful. We're going to talk briefly about the Steelers. The Steelers were awful, predictable. They had lost 5 in a row coming into the playoffs. Russell Wilson, went back to what he normally is. The Pittsburgh defense completely fell apart as Lamar and Derrick Henry ran all over their defense. Gil, is Lamar Jackson finally over his playoff demons, or do we have to wait to see if he beats the Bills first?
Well, it looked like he was out of his playoff defense. They got off to a quick start. It was 21-0 right off the bat. Right there, just blew out of Pittsburgh, knocked out the win. Pittsburgh still tried to make a game at the end, but at that point, Baltimore had it in the bag. They started just relaxing, and they just gave it to them. And Henry, boy, wasn't he hard to stop.
Man, what a game!
So if Lamar's not kicking at all cylinders, they have Henry to help him out, to take some weight off his shoulders, which they didn't have last year. So that's a big difference. So it's going to be a big Raven team to stop. It's going to be difficult.
Yeah, we can't wait to talk about that Bills Ravens game. It's going to be great. We're going to do that shortly. Briefly, the Vikings have a Sam Darnold problem. I tried to tell the guys earlier this week that that guy, when then when the money's on the line, he's going to turn into a pumpkin that's
That's his
seen
first
ghosts,
playoff game.
and that's
I'm
what
not
happened.
gonna.
9 sacks, awful.
I'm not
Like
gonna say
Detroit,
too much. I'm
Detroit
not gonna say too
stacked him
much.
all over the people.
It's his
He's just
it's
come
his
on.
first playoff game. It's his first playoff game, and I give the Rams defense a lot of credit. They put
Yeah,
pressure on him.
yeah, which
You
is
got
what
to
you
give the
do
Rams
against Darnold.
defense credit.
Right.
It's his first playoff start. The guy's obviously has never been in the playoffs, and I think the Rams took advantage of that. They pressured him, man. He
I
didn't do
would not
nothing. He
pay
couldn't.
Sam Darnold. Go to JJ McCarthy and let someone else pay Sam Darnold. I'm not. They won 14 games. They can win 12 or 11 with JJ and not pay him like that. It's like it's to win all those games and get destroyed in the first round. Who cares? I'm not signing Sam Darnold for $40 million for that. They can go. You can go somewhere else. Minnesota did the right thing when they got rid of Cousins, and they need to do the right thing again and get rid of Darnold and go with the rookie. I told Atlanta to do it. If Atlanta did it, they would have won the division. So let's. I hope Minnesota makes the right decision. But the Rams playing not only for themselves but for all those people who I give prayers and shout outs to in LA. They were playing. They were like the Saints years ago when they had the Hurricanes and they went to go play New England at home and destroyed Brady and the Pats. Like they were playing with a lot of heart in that game and emotion after some people losing their homes and stuff and just fires all over the place. That game got moved to Arizona, and the Rams just were not going to lose that game. So they just were all over Sam Darnold. So we'll see what happens. That'll be a good story going into next season. But let's talk about the games now. Let's talk about the divisional round. And we're going to start with a game that is not going to be very interesting, in my opinion. As on Saturday, the Houston Texans go to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Houston was awful last week until CJ dropped the ball on a fumble, picked it back up, and threw a pass to Nico Collins. That completely changed the game. They scored 10 points in 2 minutes, and then went on to beat the Chargers 32-12. They're taking on a Kansas City team that's had 24 days off. Some nice comments here. They have 24 days off. Has already beaten Houston in Houston. So there's not really much to say here. The Chiefs are going to win this game. The only question is whether they cover the 9.5 point spread or not. I'm not sure about that. But man, the way Houston played that first half against the Chargers, Patrick Mahomes is not going to allow Houston to hang around and then take over the game. So I think this might be the first spread Kansas City covers in a long time. So I got the Chiefs winning by at least 10. Let's go to Gil because I want to get your thoughts on this game because you've been against the Chiefs all year because of how awful they've won their games. What do you think about this game?
Well, I think the Chiefs are going to win. I don't think Houston's the team to beat them. But whoever comes out of that Buffalo Raven game is going to be the one.
Say that again, Gil. Sorry.
No, I'm saying it won't be Houston beating KC. As
No,
bad as
no.
KC has been, KC's healthier now. They'll
Yeah.
beat. I think they'll beat Houston. Because even though Houston won the game, they slowed off. They started off very slow against the Chargers. They
Yeah.
started kicking in near there the second before halftime. They started scoring some points, but I think at the end of the day, Houston doesn't have what it takes. It's going to end up being Buffalo or Ravens that are going to give KC the battle.
Jose, will this game even be interesting?
Listen, the only game this game will only be interesting is if Houston jumps on KC right away at the beginning of the game. I think KC is going to be a little rusty, coming off of like almost 3 weeks without playing football, resting all their players. If they can jump on them right away, they will have a chance. If not, then KC will blow them out. I just think KC right now is healthy. Hollywood Brown is a big piece for them
And
offensively,
Hopkins,
and Hopkins and freaking Worthy
Kelsey,
and
yeah,
Jason Kelsey and Pacheco's and
Watch
this and that.
Kelsey.
yeah.
Buddy, it's just they have so many weapons to throw at you. There's you can't go against KC, especially against the Texans. Texans. So I'm taking KC in this one.
Yeah, listen, I picked the Texans to win the AFC. I'm sorry, they're not going to win this game. Barbosa, will this game be interesting?
Like Jose said, I agree with Jose. If Houston jumps on them early, other than that, KC is gonna have a blowout. Like you said, everybody, like you guys said, everybody's healthy in that team. I know Travis Kelsey didn't have a great year during the regular season. This is where you're gonna see Travis Kelsey uh, and the defense. With that defense, it's uh, I don't see Houston beating them.
All right, let's get to a more interesting game. The Washington Commanders, who have been a great story all season. We just talked about Jaden Daniels and what he's done. He will be the unanimous Rookie of the Year. They now get to go take on a juggernaut that is the Detroit Lions. Now, the Lions can score. We know this, and they're going to get their knuckles back in Williams. He's coming back to join Jahmyr Gibbs. So they also got some of the defensive guys back, which led to the beatdown of the Minnesota Vikings. They still have a secondary that's beatable. So if Daniels can get the ball to McLaurin, and can evade a team without Hutchinson, then I think they can give the Lions a little bit of a scare. The problem is the Commanders' defense is not very good, and that could be a problem in trying to keep this game close. But I think the Commanders are going to cover that 9.5 point spread. I just don't think Detroit's going to blow them out. But I do have the Lions winning the game. But Daniels definitely giving them a scare. Gil, what do you think about this game? I know you're not a Commanders fan because of the name and Biden and all that stuff, but can they at least give Detroit a scare?
I don't know. I think Detroit's going to win this game probably quite easily for me. I think so.
Yeah.
In
Okay.
Detroit, I would say so. I don't know about the spread, but I just feel like Detroit's going to win it comfortably. I don't see Washington giving them a problem.
The spread's 9.5, I believe. Yes, 9.5. Yeah, I mean Detroit has dominated at home all season, so I mean there's no reason to think otherwise unless Daniels can pull a Houdini trick. Jose, you already spoke about this, but you like Detroit, but will it be
I
a
think
scary? Will it be scary?
it'll be close. I think it'll be closer than I think they'll cover the 9.5. Like they're good offensively, man. He's a threat because if they start blitzing and he picks it up and then he starts running, his legs can be uh, dangerous for them offensively. And Terry McLaurin is also he's been playing well too for him on the outside. But I just see Detroit outscoring them. I think it's going to be an over in this game. I
Yeah,
think but then again, which defense is going to show up? The Detroit Lions defense, is that the one they played against Minnesota that blitzed the hell out of Sam Darnold and he couldn't even have any chance to throw the ball, or is it going to be the one that that gets they have to outscore everybody?
yeah.
Um, so, but I still think Daniels can. He's gonna do his thing. He's gonna play well, but I just see the Lions outscoring them.
Barbosa, what do you think is happening in this game?
Lions are going to win. I agree, especially with that running game. They're just going to run the ball. I don't know if Washington's defense can hold up the running game there. And if it gets going, they're going to open up the passing game. And, Jared Goff can throw the ball. Um, Detroit, when it's big games, their defense is stepped up in those bigger games. Um, Against the Bills, they played all right. Against Minnesota, they came up huge. Um, so we'll see. I think Dan Campbell's a good coach. I think their defense is going to show up. Are they going to stop Jaden Daniels, they're gonna be like, are they gonna only put up 7 points? I don't think so, but I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna. It's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be that high of a scoring game. To tell you the honest truth, I think you're gonna be surprised. I think Detroit's defense will show up, and if they run
Yeah,
the ball, they're gonna kill clock. So I think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be a super high scoring game.
right. So the last time Detroit played a team that had a running quarterback was the Ravens. The Ravens destroyed them that day, but obviously
And the
Detroit's defense is
and
better
and
this
the
year than
Bills
it was last
destroyed
year.
them too
Right. The
in
Bills,
Detroit.
right. So the Bills also won with a
Yeah,
running quarterback. So my question is, can Daniels run around enough and can they hold on to the ball enough to keep Detroit's offense off the field? Because that's what they did against Tampa Bay. The reason why Washington won that game is because they held on to the ball for
yeah.
almost 40 minutes, and Tampa Bay barely had the ball. And so if they can repeat that against Detroit, they have a chance to win this game. I just don't know if they can do it. But
I don't
those
know.
long drives really hurt Tampa Bay and allowed them to hang around and win that game. I just don't know if they can do that against Detroit. So we'll see if they can hold on to the football and keep Detroit's offense off the field. That will be the only chance Washington has to win this game. But I got the Lions because they just every time I think they're not going to do it, they do it. So I think they'll win this game. Let's get to the LA Rams on Sunday. They go to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. I have not been a believer in the Rams all season. I'm not going to change my mind on them now. Um, they're a very inconsistent team. Sometimes their offense shows up, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes their defense shows up, sometimes it doesn't. They're playing an Eagles team that destroyed them 37-20 earlier this season. I don't expect this game to be any different. I am worried about Jalen Hurts and the way he's playing, but if Saquon Barkley rushes for 200 yards like he did in the first meeting, it's not going to matter. So I've got the Eagles and their defense shutting down the Rams. Gil, who do you like in this game?
Well, the way the Rams played, I would say the Rams. We can't always count out the Eagles, but I don't know. The Eagles just didn't impress me against Green Bay at all. Uh, Green Bay did a great job stopping them, and if the Rams do what the Packers did, I think the Rams actually pulled this one off.
So you got the Rams upsetting.
Yep.
Okay. I picked the Rams. I picked the Eagles last week over the Packers based on their defense. Their offense has not been consistent, so I think it's their defense that will win the game. But you're right, Jalen Hurts has to play better, or they're going to be in trouble. Jose, what do you think about this one?
I'm gonna take the Eagles just based on. I don't think the Rams are gonna be able to stop Saquon Barkley.
Yes.
They didn't do it the first time. They won't do it this time. I think the Eagles defense will come up big against them, and their offense will show up. I think Jalen Hurts not playing for almost 3 weeks too. Like now he will have more reps. He's already got a game under his belt, so I think he'll be different. I think they'll throw out the ball a little bit more too. Uh, the Rams don't have a great secondary as well, and they have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith out there. Um, and yeah, so I'm gonna take the Eagles. I think the Eagles will win this game.
Before I get to Barbosa, Gil, if you saw a player reading a book while you were playing a game, what would you do to him?
I'll ask him what he's reading, and whatever it was, I don't even know what it was, but if it's the Bible, whatever floats his boat. But I don't know if that was because he was bored or he was trying to signal a coach, like, throw me the ball at least once. I think he got
Nah,
thrown to like twice the whole
I,
game.
I don't. I don't think that's the reason.
He was
All right,
bored, man.
he was bored. Barbosa, I'll get to you now. What did you think about that? Who you got in this game? I think he was showing up for the coach there
I
because he was
I
bored.
I honestly think by him reading the book, it was to calm him down. It was a
Yeah,
way to calm him
so
down.
he wouldn't lose it on the sideline. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. That's why he pulled out the book because you can see it. You was going to the you was, if you noticed, you was going to the sideline. You was pissed. You looked like he was gonna go off, and he grabbed the book. I think that's like a mechanism for him to kind of cool off. So if that's whatever needs to cool him off, buddy, then all the power to him. But I've been going back and forth with this game now. The reason being is because of Jalen Hurts. He didn't look that good last week.
No, he did not.
No. And if we're being honest, the Packers could have won that game if Jordan Love didn't give the ball back as they were driving. Philly, I believe, had a turnover, and then Jordan Love threw another pick, and they gave the Philly the ball back. And I think it was only like a 12-point game, or not even.
Yeah.
It was a close game, and the Packers could have won that game. So, oh man, and the Rams have been in this situation before. They've won a Super Bowl, so they know how to win in the playoffs. Oh man,
they don't know how to get lucky too when our freaking cornerback drops the football.
Yeah. I'm gonna take the Eagles just because I believe Saquon can be that X factor, but reluctant to take the Eagles. But I'm gonna take the Eagles.
Yeah. It's a tough game. But
I've been high on the Eagles this year.
Yeah.
So
no, but the Eagles have been impressive all season long with their
Jalen Hurts.
So yeah.
Jalen Hurts. That scares me though.
What do you expect a guy that hasn't played in 3 weeks to throw 400 yards? Against a good Packers defense, and you tell him that the Packers played
Jose,
well. Like
I'm not saying.
You guys expect this guy to throw for 300 yards. He's coming off a concussion. He's playing against a good secondary. That's their strength of the Green Bay Packers is the secondary. So he's not going to be throwing 200, 300 yards and touchdowns. They played simple. Like they capitalized on the Green Bay Packers mistakes.
Yes.
And they scored when they had to. That's it. That was their game plan.
And Barkley ran for 120.
Exactly. That's playoff football. If you notice, it's not guys that throw 300, 400 yards. It's basically running the ball.
Yeah.
And let's be honest. If you win the turnover battle, you're gonna win the game.
Yeah, 100%.
Great play by Dallas Goedert, by the way. Just pushing down the corners there to score the touchdown. That was a great play by him. I think Green Bay could have won that game had they gotten the call early and they scored early on the Eagles, but it did not happen. Gil once again getting screwed by the refs. I don't know. Ever since Mexico, Gil, I don't know, man. They have it in for your team.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
I don't know.
I mean, they show an overhead replay of the ball in the guy's hands. Like, I don't understand. They had one replay where he had it on the ground. Then they showed it with him up in the air with it in his hands, and they still gave Philadelphia the ball. Like, I'm starting to wonder about these refs not liking the Packers, man. It's just some bad calls go against your team, buddy.
It was.
All right, let's get to the main event, the game that will, decide who goes to Arrowhead in the Arrowhead Invitational, as Nick Wright likes to say. The Buffalo Bills, who got absolutely demolished by the Ravens earlier this season, get to go home and play in -5-degree, possible snowy weather, and get to play the Ravens again in their house. I said earlier this year that I believe this is the Ravens' year because of the impact of Derrick Henry and what he will do to help give Lamar Jackson more time to throw the football. Now, they didn't need him last week, but I think they're going to need him this week. They're going to have Zay Flowers back for this one. Because,
can I ask you a question? Same thing could be said about James Cook for Josh Allen. If you look at it, James Cook has been a huge help for Josh Allen this year. James Cook ran the ball well this year.
Yes, but I think Josh Allen, I still think deserves MVP because of his individual willing of winning those games for his team. A lot of games that they won were solely on Josh Allen's arm and legs. Cook has been great for them, scoring touchdowns and running the football, but there are games where Allen basically won the game by himself.
Before you guys, I have a question. Before you guys make the picks,
yeah.
Who's a bigger game for, Lamar or Josh Allen?
I think this is a tie. I think it's big for both. Josh Allen has had a nightmare winning divisional rounds, as we know, and Lamar Jackson.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Against who?
Yeah, sure, it's against Kansas City, but Baltimore's also had problems beating Kansas City, so it's really
no.
Yeah.
But Baltimore's had problems in the divisional rounds.
Yeah,
They never with Lamar. They never made a championship game.
Yeah, they did last year. You idiot! They lost to the
Yeah.
Chiefs.
Well, okay, sorry.
They both made
Besides,
one
okay.
They both made one championship game and both lost to Kansas City.
Well,
Bro, get
yeah,
your
that's-
facts straight, Barbosa, please.
shut up. That's true.
Okay.
But who's a bigger game for?
Okay, I'm gonna finish. I'll answer that question and finish what I'm gonna say. I think it's a tie, and the reason why I think it's a tie is because both quarterbacks have had problems in the divisional round. Both have had trouble beating Kansas City, and both are gonna get killed if they lose this game. So either way, it's bad. Is it worse for Lamar Jackson? Yes, because he's had more, he's been terrible in the playoffs, whereas Josh Allen has lost playing great. That's the difference. So I think it'll be worse for Lamar Jackson if he plays bad and they lose than it will be for Josh Allen if he loses and plays well. And so in that respect, it's probably bigger for Lamar Jackson. But I think either way, it's not good if they lose. But I think Lamar Jackson needs to win this game. And that's why I'm taking the Ravens. I'm taking the Ravens because I think Derrick Henry is the X factor for them. If he's running the football like he is last week, then Lamar Jackson's going to have a picnic in the pocket throwing the football. I do think they're going to need Zay Flowers for this one because of Buffalo's secondary. They need to take advantage of that, and having him in there against that secondary will really help. How the cold affects Lamar is a great question. I don't think he particularly likes the cold, but this is a game where the Ravens have to run the football and run it a lot. And if they do, I think they will win the game. If they don't run the football and try to throw in this game, they will lose to the Bills. That's my thoughts. I think the Ravens will make the right move and they'll run the ball with Henry, especially in the cold. If there's snow, run the football. The Ravens' defense has been better recently in the last half of the season. So I think the Ravens win this game, despite the fact that I think it's a revenge game and Buffalo could get them back. I just think the way they dominated Buffalo in that first game, I got to go with the Ravens. Gil, you've been a Lamar Jackson fan for 2 years. You've picked the Ravens for multiple years. I don't expect you to change your mind, but you tell me who you like and what do you think is going to happen in this game.
I think it's going to be a hard, tough game. Baltimore's defense has been stepping up. They have to contain Allen, right? And it's going to be difficult. James Cook had a good game against Denver as well. So Baltimore has their hands full, but boy, oh boy, doesn't Buffalo?
Yeah.
Buffalo has no. And if Flowers comes back, this team can throw, they can run, they can do wildcats, they can do whatever they want. And Buffalo has their hands full. To me, obviously, I took the Ravens to win this year, and why change my mind? They're playing great.
Yeah. Barbosa, you can answer the question you asked me, and you can pick the game and tell me what you think.
I agree with you. I think it's a bigger game for Lamar. The playoff, his playoff performance haven't been great. This game is gonna come down to whoever makes a mistake. Because it's gonna be a tight game.
You expect high scoring or low scoring?
I don't think it's going to be that high scoring. I think it's going to be like a 28-24 game or something like that.
Well, that's pretty high scoring.
Mm-hmm. Um, I'm gonna take Buffalo. I'm gonna take Buffalo just
Okay.
because they're at home. I'm gonna take Buffalo, but and even though Lamar it's a bigger game for Lamar to prove. It's a game that Lamar has to prove. I'm gonna take Buffalo just because they're at home.
All right, Jose. Who do you have and why?
Listen, to answer your, it's an important game for both quarterbacks.
Yes.
Okay, one is for the MVP race.
No, the
Y-
MVP's already done. The MVP's already done.
Yeah, who's gonna win it?
They already voted. They already voted the MVP. It doesn't make a difference.
Okay, but I'm just saying it doesn't matter. I'm just saying it matters for people like to see who the real MVP of the league
Okay.
is.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Okay,
understand the point. I understand the point. Yeah.
all right, and then the second of all, you and your high scoring, bro. 28-24 is a high
That's not a
scoring
That's
high
game.
high
scoring
scoring.
It's
game.
Yeah,
that's
it
That's
is.
52
30, 30
points.
we're talking
And an
about 30
NFL game
30.
is 52 points. But anyways, I guess you don't consider 52 points a lot of points in the NFL. Anyways, I'm gonna take the Ravens, and I'll tell you why. This year is different because they have Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is a big piece for Lamar Jackson because now you don't know who's gonna be running the ball. Last week Pittsburgh was in shambles because they didn't even know if it was Henry that was running the ball, and then or Lamar Jackson would just tuck it in and just run it himself, and then it opens up the passing game to Andrews, to Lively, to Zay Flowers if he plays Bateman and stuff like that. Dude, they're clicking on all cylinders right now. And Buffalo, you know what? I think Josh Allen's due for a bad game, and I think it's gonna happen to this week. He always has one of those stinker games in the playoffs, and I think it's gonna or the season. And he had this year, he was flawless. He had a great season, but I think this game, that defense is going to get pressure on him. He's going to sack him. He's going to try to force the ball down the field. And that secondary is playing a lot better now since Hamilton's playing safety. I think they're going to get some turnovers in this game. The only way that Buffalo is going to stay in this game is if they rush the ball well as well. I can see them doing that with Cook, James Cook, but I don't. At the end of the day, I just think Henry is the key point to this game, and he's gonna run all over them. And Buffalo, and then there goes Buffalo season, and the Ravens will win this game. So I'm
What if
taking the
Buffalo
Ravens.
does stop the run? What if Buffalo their game
Uh,
plan is to
they,
stop the
they
run?
they they haven't shown they can stop the run this year, though. They haven't.
Buddy,
Whereas Baltimore
Steven
has stopped the run.
Stevenson from the New
What if
England
they say,
Patriots rushed for
what
a
if they say
hundred.
to Lamar, what if they say to Lamar, if you want to beat us, go through the air.
And they
But they
will.
but they
The
can't.
the Bill
But
secondary is garbage.
exactly.
Listen, the
Yeah.
first drive last week by the Broncos, he threw a 50-yard bomb right
Yeah.
over the secondary. You
Yes.
telling me Lamar Jackson can't throw a 60-yard bomb over the
I'm
over the
not saying
secondary? Okay, exactly.
who has a
So
better receiving core. You
the
just think that had a
Ravens
better
do.
receiving core,
The
huh?
Ravens do. If they're healthy, the Ravens have a better receiving core than the
Yeah,
Bills.
that's if Zane
I actually
Flowers.
agree. I
Yeah,
actually
that's
agree
if
with
Zane
that.
Flowers is in the lineup.
What do you think?
Yeah.
What you think the Bills have a better receiving core than the Ravens?
No, no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
I'm
No.
not saying that. I'm not saying that.
And who has a better defense? You telling me the Bills have a better defense than the Ravens?
Yeah, I
Absolutely
don't know
not.
about. I don't think so.
No,
Yeah.
no, I'm not saying they do, but I don't think it's not much of a difference.
So
All right,
then
we'll
it'll be
see.
high scoring, and last guy with the football wins, right?
We'll see. We'll see Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the biggest difference in this game is the Ravens have stopped the run all season, and the Bills have not. And if that happens, then the Ravens are going to win the game because if Henry gets going, then the play action pass happens, and the, Lamar Jackson is really good in that position, and so and then the Bills secondary can't stop anybody. So it's a bad combination. It might be a bad matchup for the Bills. It may not even be about the two teams, just it's a bad matchup for the Bills, and we saw that earlier in the season when Baltimore just ripped them apart, and the Bills were playing great going into that game and got destroyed. So we'll see what happens, but that's going to be a great game to watch, and the winner will likely go to Kansas City. So I hope it's Baltimore because I really want to see a rematch from last year. But even if it's Buffalo, that'll be fine too. But I do want to see the Ravens go back to Kansas City with Derrick Henry and see if there's a difference. But we shall see. So those are our picks. Now, I wanted to let people know we will do a review show the week in between the Super Bowl. So like, you know, there's a week off after the championship games. That week we will do a review show of what our picks from earlier in the year. The MVP will be announced at that point, so we'll know who was right and who was wrong. Although I don't think any of us picked Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, so we're all going to be wrong.
Gil, I think Gil picked with. Did you pick
Lamar, Gil?
I picked Lamar last year.
I don't think
you
you
pick him
picked
again
him this year.
Maybe
I think he picked Love. Didn't you pick Love this year?
Did I take Love? Maybe. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'll have to go back and check for sure. I know that you picked Burrow, Barbosa.
Yeah, I know I picked Burrow.
So
I'll tell you this:
I
Who'd you
picked
pick?
Purdy.
I picked.
You
Purdy.
picked Purdy. Yeah, you picked Purdy. Yeah.
So did you, right?
No, I picked C.J. Stroud.
You picked Stroud?
Yeah. So I'm definitely not winning.
I'll
But
tell you this:
Me neither.
if Cincinnati made the playoffs, I think I would have been right.
No, you wouldn't.
No, even if they made the playoffs,
What?
he doesn't win. He doesn't win the award.
What?
No.
Are you
No,
guys kidding me?
No.
Dude.
It still would have been. Well, Lamar has
Why
better
would he win
stats than him.
MVP then? Why would he win MVP? Because
Why?
Why? Yeah.
Why?
On an 8-8 record or 9-8
No,
record,
no,
you
no.
you win the MVP.
Yeah.
Okay.
Buddy,
No,
yeah.
I don't
Did
think so.
Did you see his stats?
Okay,
Okay,
so
but Lamar beat him twice.
this is my point. This is my point that I wanted to get you. You check his stats. Okay, so you're basing it on stats. Then if you're gonna base it on stats, then you gotta give the MVP to Lamar Jackson because
Yeah.
I'm
Lamar
not saying
Jackson has better
that's
stats.
why I don't know who's gonna win.
Oh.
I don't know who's gonna win. I don't know who's gonna win between Allen. I don't know if it's gonna be Allen or if it's gonna be Lamar.
I think they're gonna if they give it to Allen, it's based on the record of the season for
I think
finishing
it's more
second.
than that. If Allen wins it,
he
it's
had less
because
weapons too.
that's what I'm saying. It's the team. He didn't have a great team.
No one expected the Bills.
Lamar had
to be
Derrick
this good.
Henry. You can justify with both the good and the bad.
Yeah,
with
but
both.
Lamar Jackson had Derrick Henry, and he still put up more yards than he did last year in his MVP season.
Well, obviously, it
And
opens up
touchdowns.
this passing game. Of course, Jose.
Oh.
Let's be honest.
Okay.
Well, that and he beat the Bills up too. That could be a determining factor, right? So we'll see. I mean, I would be surprised if Allen doesn't win it this year, just because no one expected the Bills to be this good.
Nah,
a lot of people had him out of the playoffs. So I mean, that's got to say something when the voting starts.
But Lamar had a better numbers than Josh Allen for sure.
Listen,
you had more yards. You had more touchdown passes.
Yeah. I mean, but again, like usually the award goes to the best record and not necessarily the best stats. I mean, we saw that last year. Josh Allen had better stats than Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson won the award because Baltimore finished in the first seed. So I think that this is the year where, okay, Buffalo has a better record. The expectations were low, and Allen carried his team to the second seed. So I think that's why Josh Allen will win it. He hasn't won the award either, which usually works in your favor because they don't like to give it to the same person every year. But the amount of people that picked the Jets this year to win that division will probably help Josh Allen win the award as well. So we shall see. I mean, the Ravens only won the division on the last week of the season, so that tells you that they had some trials and tribulations, losing to Cleveland on the road, losing to Pittsburgh 18-10. And so I think those will be factors in the award, but we shall see. So yes, after next week, when we review the championship games, there'll be a week in between where it's media week. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about our picks from the past season and see how we did. And then it's Super Bowl week, and we'll obviously talk about the Super Bowl then. So that's our show for this week. Anything else to add, guys, before we go? Anything you want to talk about before we go? Good?
You know what? I kind of, even though I picked the Eagles, can you imagine the Detroit, LA Rams NFC Championship game?
Well, they played last year, and Detroit beat them by a point, so we've seen it.
But, this is an NFC Championship game. This will be an NFC Championship game.
If it's the Rams, I got Detroit by 30. If it's the Rams. I hope it's the Eagles because I want to see a more competitive game. If it's the Rams, Detroit's going to destroy them. And I think Jared Goff is gonna get his revenge on his old team. That's what I think will happen. Baltimore or Buffalo goes to KC. That is going to be a great game either way. So we shall see.
For
But
many reasons. Yeah,
what's that?
I said for many reasons we could pick either one. It's like you want to see Josh Allen versus Mahomes, Lamar versus Mahomes.
Either way, it's going to be a great game. Either way.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to see the Ravens go back there with Henry to see if it makes a difference. Although Kansas City's rush defense is the best in the league, and they had a chance to run the football week 1 and chose not to. If John Harbaugh goes there and makes that mistake again, he should be fired. If they go to Kansas City and choose to throw the ball 40 times like they did last year with Derrick Henry on the football field, John Harbaugh should be fired. I'm not even kidding. You cannot go there and throw the football against that secondary 40 times when you have Derrick Henry. You've got to pound the football. I don't care if their defense is number 2 against the rush. You have to run the football as much as possible against that team and keep Mahomes off the field. If they don't do that, they're going to lose. And Harbaugh will have no excuses when you have that man in the backfield. So we'll see. We're going to have a lot of talk about after these games are done, and we'll talk about the championship games next week. But I'd like to thank everyone for coming on. Gil's already yawning and looking at his phone, so I'm gonna end this show before he starts falling asleep.
Gil's looking at the score of the Jersey game.
Yeah, it's 3-3 now. Matthews just tied it, so
it's 3-3. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was hoping Keith would go back there and win his first game. The Leafs have lost 3 in a row. They're about to go to overtime, so I'm gonna let Gil watch that, and we'll all watch it now. I'm the mouth of North Andrew East. That's Tony Barbosa, Jose Carlos Gomes, and Gilbay Santos. We will see you next week on the Reese Report. Thank you all for joining us. Like, subscribe, and comment, and we'll see you next week.